Long ago, in a valley wrapped in golden savanna grass and bordered by a silver river, there stood a village called Umuoma. The village was known for its laughter, its harvest festivals, and the ancient baobab tree that stood at its center like a wise old guardian. The people of Umuoma believed that the baobab carried the whispers of their ancestors in its hollow trunk. In Umuoma lived a young girl named Adana, whose name meant father's daughter. She was known for her curious eyes and her fearless heart. While other children played by the river, Adana would sit beneath the baobab tree, listening to the wind rustle through its branches as if it were telling her secrets. Adana lived with her grandmother, Neka, a woman whose hair was as white as moonlight and whose voice carried the warmth of the hearth. Neka was the village storyteller, and every evening she gathered the children around the fire to share tales of spirits, animals, and brave ancestors. Adana listened more intently than anyone else. One year, the rains did not come. The clouds gathered but passed without mercy. The river began to shrink, and the earth cracked like broken pottery. Crops withered in the fields, and worry crept into the hearts of the villagers. The elders called for meetings beneath the baobab tree. They poured libations and sang songs to call the rain, but the sky remained silent. Fear began to settle like dust upon the village. Neka told the villagers of an old legend. She spoke of the Mountain of Echoes, where the spirit of rain was said to dwell. According to the tale, the spirit had once blessed Umuoma with abundance but would only return if someone pure of heart climbed the mountain and reminded it of the village's kindness. Many men shook their heads. The Mountain of Echoes was steep and guarded by wild forests. Some said it was cursed. Others said no one had returned from its summit in decades. That night, Adana could not sleep. She thought of the crying babies, the tired farmers, and the cracked earth. She thought of the stories her grandmother had told her about courage and sacrifice. And in her young heart, a decision began to form. At dawn, before the rooster crowed, Adana packed a small calabash of water, a piece of dried yam, and her grandmother's woven scarf. She kissed Neka's forehead as she slept and stepped quietly out of the hut. The journey began with dew-soaked grass beneath her feet. The sun rose slowly, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Adana did not look back. As she entered the forest, the air grew thick and cool. Strange sounds echoed between the trees. Monkeys chattered, birds shrieked, and unseen creatures rustled in the underbrush. Suddenly, a tortoise appeared in her path. The tortoise spoke in a slow, measured voice. "Where does a child walk alone at sunrise?" Adana bowed respectfully and explained her mission. The tortoise blinked its ancient eyes and said, "Kindness opens paths that strength cannot." Then it moved aside, revealing a hidden trail. Adana thanked the tortoise and continued. Further into the forest, she encountered a wounded antelope caught in a hunter's snare. Though she was afraid of losing time, Adana knelt and carefully loosened the rope. The antelope limped away but turned back to gaze at her with grateful eyes. As the sun climbed higher, thirst gripped her throat. She found a small puddle of muddy water. Just as she was about to drink, she saw a bird struggling beside it. Adana poured half of her precious calabash water into her palm and offered it to the bird. It drank eagerly and fluttered away with renewed strength. The path grew steeper as she approached the mountain. Rocks cut her feet, and her legs trembled with exhaustion. Yet she remembered her grandmother's voice. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to walk forward despite it. At the foot of the Mountain of Echoes stood a shadowy figure. It was tall and cloaked in mist. Its voice rumbled like distant thunder. "Why have you come, child?" Adana swallowed her fear and spoke clearly. She told the spirit of her village's suffering. She spoke of hungry children and dry fields. She spoke not with anger, but with hope. The spirit's eyes softened. "Many have come before you," it said. "They demanded rain as if it were their right. You ask with humility." The mountain trembled gently as the spirit tested her heart. It asked her what she would give in return for the rain. Without hesitation, Adana offered her woven scarf, the last gift from her grandmother. "It carries warmth and love," she said. "May it remind you of us." The spirit took the scarf and held it to its chest. In that moment, the sky darkened. Winds began to swirl around the mountain peak. Thunder cracked open the silence. Rain fell. It began as a whisper, then grew into a joyous roar. The earth drank deeply. Rivers swelled and seeds stirred awake beneath the soil. The spirit smiled. Your kindness to the tortoise, the antelope, and the bird reached me before you did, it said. The world listens when hearts are pure. Adana found herself gently carried down the mountain by a warm breeze. Back in Umuoma, villagers ran from their huts, laughing and crying as the rain soaked their skin. Children danced barefoot in the mud. Neka stood beneath the baobab tree, tears streaming down her cheeks as she saw her granddaughter approaching through the rain. Adana ran into her grandmother's arms. The elders gathered around her, astonished that such a young girl had accomplished what no warrior dared attempt. They listened as she told her story. From that day forward, the people of Umuoma remembered that courage does not measure itself by size, but by heart. The harvest that year was richer than any before. Yams grew as large as drums, and maize stood tall like soldiers of green. The tortoise appeared often near the village, no longer hiding. The antelope was seen grazing peacefully at the forest's edge. The bird built its nest in the branches of the baobab tree. The villagers understood that every act of kindness echoes across mountains unseen. Adana grew into a wise woman, much like her grandmother. When Neka's time came to join the ancestors, she left behind stories that lived on in Adana's voice. Under the baobab tree, Adana told children about the year the rains forgot them. She told them about fear, and about bravery. She told them about the mountain of echoes. And she always ended with the same gentle reminder, that even the smallest hands can carry the heaviest hope. The village of Umuoma never again feared the silence of the sky, for they had learned that unity and kindness call forth miracles. And so, beneath wide African skies painted with stars, laughter returned to Umuoma. The river sang once more. The baobab whispered proudly. And Adana's story became a song carried by the wind, a song of courage, kindness, and the sweet blessing of rain.